Lance Hall here for Let's Discuss with Lance Hall. Happy to welcome Robin McAuley to the program. How you doing, Robin?
I'm doing good. Hello, Lance. Happy Friday. Happy Black Swan Friday. I almost lost my teeth. Almost fell out.
Yeah, we're about a week away from the release of this album. You must be getting pretty excited.
It's awesome. I just actually had an email 5 minutes ago that Shake the World as the single from the Shake the World album. Hit 42 yesterday and jumped to 35 today, so we're pretty stoked. We're getting off to a great start here, yeah.
Absolutely. I like to approach as a new fan who's never heard of the band, which really you're a fairly new band despite you being a group of seasoned players. So I've gone to the music store and I'm flipping through and I get to the B's and I find this album Black Swan. Where did the name Black Swan come from?
Actually, Reb Beach came up with the name. You know, we had recorded all the songs and we're going, oh, shit, now we got to come up with a name. And so we started backwards and forwards with different suggestions, and most names were taken and most names were stuck anyway. And then Reb Beach said, I think Black Swan is a good name. And I went, that's a great name. There was a movie, though, and there's a book and God knows what else. And we did some research, and I think there was like a brass band or something had the name Black Swan or something, but they kind of fizzled out, and I think there was something else. So we suggested it to Frontier, since the whole band liked the name, and Frontier did the research, and apparently it was up for grabs, and we swiped it, and we love the name. It's great. The artwork is fabulous. A guy called Stan Decker did the album artwork, and all the pieces fell right for us, and so we got the name, and happy days, as they say.
Excellent. And you answered my second question about the artwork then. And then, of course, the title, Shake the World. Is this something you guys are looking to do with this album?
Oh, dude, doesn't everybody?
Exactly.
You know, I mean, I can make it really short and concise, and, you know, things are pretty messed up. Doesn't matter which side of the fence you're standing. I always remember, and I always make this statement because it rings with me since I was a kid. My mom, God rest her, always used to say, you know, if you go through life and the best you can do is to say please and thank you. It costs nothing, and it's a good way to start. And I have twin boys who'll be actually 21 on Valentine's Day next week, on the same day as Black Swan gets released.
Wow.
And I've always tried to say, you know, there's nothing wrong with being nice to people. And unfortunately, you know, talking about Shake the World or not, everybody seems to have lost that element of respect for each other. And it's like, what the hell is going on, man? You know, everybody seems like it's their God-given right to be better than everybody else, and by doing so, you can flip everybody off and not give a shit about anything. And it's like, really? Is that where we're at?
Yeah.
Is that the way to go forward? So whether Black Swan has a song called Shake the World, which we hopefully will at least bring attention to the fact that, you know, we have a voice, we have a chance, and it's not a political or soapbox platform. It's just pure, honest-to-God decency, you know? That's all it is. And we seem to have lost decency. What? You know?
Yeah.
Would you want your kids to be like that? I would hate if my son walked in with that kind of an attitude, you know?
Exactly.
Anyway, let's move on. That's kind of, you know, you could get dug in, and I really could get dug in, but there's much more to it than that, of course. You know, society is as it is, but you don't have to put up with it.
No. Yeah, as a father of four, I agree with you 100%, you know?
Yeah, and that's just how it is. I would, you know. Right. You know, anyway, there you have it.
This is another killer lineup from Frontiers. You know, of course, you got you, Reb Beach, Jeff Pilson, Matt Starr. Now, you and Jeff go back a ways, you know, to the Schenker days and stuff. How did you hook up with Reb and Matt?
I met Reb one time only. I sang for Survivor for about 6 years, and I think he was doing some work with Night Ranger. We were backstage, and Frankie Sullivan said, "Hey, have you met Reb?" I met Reb, and of course I've known his work with Winger,
Yeah.
and now for years with Whitesnake, and he's a phenomenal guitar player. And fast forward to Black Swan, when Jeff called me and he said, Frontiers has asked me to put something together, and I know they talked to you a while ago and it didn't happen, and now I just thought, how would you like to get together with Reb? I've already spoke to him, and he goes, this would be interesting, this would be something really cool. And I said, oh dude, he's such a phenomenal guitar player and songwriter, what an honor, right? Yeah. And at my stage in life, I'm thinking, if I can write with my cat, it would be kind of cool.
Yeah.
And Reb steps into the picture, and they sent me some music because we really didn't really discuss. I mean, we didn't have a name, Black Swan, to begin with, so
Right.
We just had Reb and Jeff and myself, Jeff himself. We go back all the way to McAuley Schenker. He did the last studio record. Jeff was also my best man.
Right.
I'll be married 27 years this year. And so we have a long, personal, friendly, best buddies relationship. So he calls me, and they got together, and they sent me some ideas. I came to Jeff's studio. Reb's there, and I started singing down an idea that I had, which was the first piece of music that they actually wrote. And I started singing this melody and this lyric, and the title was called Big Disaster. And Rev stopped and he goes, well, let's think about this. This is the first time we've ever written together. This is a brand new project, and you're coming in here with a title called Big Disaster.
Perfect.
and I went, yeah, you have a point, right? But the irony of that even takes us a step further, because I got sick out of nowhere about a month ago, and on January 9th or 10th, when I was released from the hospital, Frontiers decided that Big Disaster was going to be the second single, and people are calling me going, dude, is this some kind of a publicity stunt or something? And I'm going, no, it isn't, but it's poignant, it's pretty ironic, and it's a great track, the first track that we wrote, and it kicks ass.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're very happy, no matter what the irony is.
And how did Mac come into the fold?
When Jeff first talked to me about the project that Frontiers was interested in putting together, he was adamant that he did not want to play bass. And I had other ideas about that, and as time went on, so did Rab, because he had earmarked other bass players, well-known bass players, to come in and do this. And because of scheduling, etc., it just never transpired. And Reb and I always had the idea, just let him run with whatever he thinks he has in his mind. And all of those guide bass tracks that he puts down, we're just going to tell him that, yeah, Jeff, you're just going to show somebody all those bass parts that you've already put down, and that's just never going to work because we want you to do it. and that's kind of what happened, and it was the best thing, and it was the only thing that was going to happen as far as we were concerned. Right. Jeff was going to be that bass player. So I kind of asked backwards recording methods, because there were other drummers slotted as well. And when we started, Jeff had programmed drum machines so that we could get started on the whole songwriting part of it, and they went into the wood shop and they just kept shredding and sending me like all of this stuff. And I work in Vegas 5 nights a week, so I'm hardly ever home, but I live pretty close to Jeff and his studio. And he put a drum machine down. We got the basic tracks done, and then it came to, okay, we need a drummer. And Matt Starr, I had met playing drums on a different project that I was not really involved in. I guessed on like once a year.
Yeah.
And then he became part of the Rock Vault in Las Vegas, okay, that I work with. And I suggested Matt, and Jeff said, killer. Of course, I never even thought of Matt. And so Matt comes in, goes to Jeff's studio. He sent him all the roughs of the tracks. Matt had sat and listened to it and brought in a ton of ideas. And it absolutely killed it.
Yeah.
It's just, and I don't know how many people know this, but Matt in his own right is an amazing singer. He's got a sort of a Chris Cornell thing going on.
Okay.
And the guy can sing his ass off. So now we have this drummer that's also a great singer. Jeff's a great singer. Rebs has a great voice. So by the time we were done, although Matt didn't get a chance to sing on this, actually one of my son Casey, who's a pretty good little guitar player, he wanted to come to the studio one day because he's always upstairs just crashing it out. The whole neighborhood can hear it.
Yeah.
And he's also a great singer, and he sang backup on about, I think, 4 or 5 of the tracks on the Shake the World album.
Nice.
And that was it. That was just, he gets to sing with the old man, and
yeah.
I think it's a great record. I'm so happy with this record, and Jeff Pilson did an absolute monstrous job.
Did he do the production on it as well?
He sure did. I mean, he's a terrible bass player.
A hell of a producer. I mean, a great. Big drum sound on this was the thing that jumped out at me.
Oh my God! It's just, it hits you right in the back of the head. It's the best. And I've recorded quite a number of things, a lot of things that people have never heard. But in everything that I have recorded to date, this is my absolute favorite. It's the only time in everything I've ever recorded somebody has recorded me, i.e. there's somebody being Jeff Pilson, and makes you sound like me. And love me or hate me, it's what I sound like, and I'm going to it's the best vocal sound
that's great.
I've ever had.
It's great.
And the overall sound of the Black Swan record is just ass kicking. It's raw, it's fresh, it's powerful. I think people when they hear the whole thing, are going to be pleasantly surprised because it's heavier, I think, than even Frontiers imagined it was going to be. And then by that, having just said that, you have your big power ballads that, just in case you thought we were losing our minds completely.
Sure.
Stick in a couple of power ballads just for the hell of it,
I have been lucky enough to hear the whole thing, and I got a couple questions on a couple of the songs here for you.
Right.
You sort of gave us a big run on Big Disaster. That track is just catchy as all freaking hell. Love it. Johnny Came Marching. Intriguing title. Great lyrics. Tell us a little bit about that one.
That sort of became kind of touched home with me. I was in Europe with Michael Schenker Fest. I think we were actually in Poland, and I was looking at the news from back home, and I see Borderline Grill Massacre. Now, the Borderline Grill is about a half hour from my front door, and my son Casey, that I was just discussing, who did the backup vocals with us, he was at the Borderline Grill a week before with his college buddies, because the college is pretty close to where we are too.
Yeah.
And they go there for fun and for line dancing, and he's not a line dancer, as none of the kids are. They just go for fun and goof off.
Yeah.
And so he was on his way to the Borderline Grill on that horrendous fateful night. And about 10 minutes in, he gets a call. He has a part-time job outside of college, as most kids do. And so he got whipped away to go into work, or he would have been there.
Wow.
And all of those poor kids and the sheriff just lost his life. So when Jeff and Reb sent me this track, and I heard the intro, and they had some ideas of direction that they thought the song should take, just to give me a kickstart.
Yeah. And
I was listening to it, and I'm going, I don't hear that at all. But what I do hear is an idea and a lyric for the unfortunate soldier, whom, I always think of soldiers when I was growing up as, older men, seasoned people, but they're not in this day and age. They're kids.
Right.
Same as my kids. And they're not properly trained for long enough, at any rate. Put a gun in their hand and send them out to the front line of a foreign country, and they come home, not to proper counseling, not acclimated properly, and they come home and their heads are all screwed up, and they get disgruntled, and they grab a gun and they shoot up people. And there's more to it than that, of course.
Right.
Of course. But the Borderline Grill was what inspired me, because my own son was damn near close to been there. And prayers and condolences to all of the poor kids that were and their families.
Absolutely.
So that's what inspired me. And somebody said to me earlier today, but isn't that an old sort of Civil War song, When Johnny Come Marching Home? And I went, yeah, I suppose it is, but that wasn't my intent.
Right.
And my intent was, we have so many servicemen and women who come back into real life.
Right.
And are just not ready for it no more than they are when they are sent out there in the first place. And things are not ever like they were before they left. And they're just, there's no treatment, counseling for them. And basically that's what the song is about.
Right, right. Well, that
you
goes
know,
along with it, yeah.
So it hit home. And, you know, When Johnny Come Marching Home is the young serviceman who
definitely
goes back into life that will never be the same for them ever again.
I agree.
You know. So anyway, it's a great song, and it's a pretty close to home lyric to me, you know.
Yeah. Next track I had, you talked about the power ballads. Make It There. The one note I have here is gorgeous. So I'm trying to think of one. If I was going to describe this track, I just gorgeous track, fabulous track.
That's funny. Yeah, and the acoustic version is nice too.
Wow, yeah.
It kind of goes down a different road. Again, they sent me that song, and I'm going, shit, you know. Where do you start, right? Because you don't want it to be. I always call it. You don't want it to be too syrupy.
Yeah.
And I remember when I'll say this one. I remember when I wrote the lyrics to Anytime, the McAuley Schenker Day, right? And I remember sitting at that point at a pre-production phase with the producer of that record, who's a good New Yorker, Frank Filippetti, and I had a habit of always writing in the third person. It was never about me; it was always about somebody else.
Yeah.
And he sat down and he goes, you know, the melodies are great, but why are you always writing about somebody else? Write it like it comes from your heart and soul.
Right.
And he said, the end result will be much more close to home, passionate, and you'll feel it more. And I went, oh, really? And so I took that lesson, and I've carried it with me since then. And so everything I write that's at least ballad-oriented will always come from me. And Make It There is just, it's heart-wrenching. Jeff said it makes him cry all the time, so you can quote me on... you can quote me. In actual fact, when I came to him to record that, I had a terrible flu. And I'm going, oh, dude, I don't know if I can make the studio. He goes, do what you can, and then we'll just call it a day.
Yeah.
And I was sort of, oh, my God, my voice was trashed. I really had a bad cold and a chest and a cough, and I got behind the mic, and I'm going, you can't use this mic for days. You'll have to spray it with sort of, you know, Lysol or whatever. And we started to cut it, and he goes, oh, dude, we're not going to change very little on this. And so that's kind of how it found itself. It's although I say so myself, it's a beautiful song. It's just a good song. It can put you right there in the place, you know.
Definitely.
And we all have that somewhere, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. The last one I can ask you a question about every song, but I just want to pick on a few, and I don't want to give everything away to anybody who hasn't heard the album. Sacred Place. That opening lick reminded me so much of like a Gary Moore lick. And
that's a good thing. We're just celebrating Gary Moore this week, actually, aren't we?
Really?
Yes, we are celebrating him this week since he passed.
And the song was sort of had a melancholiness to it, I thought, as well, you know?
Well, I didn't think of Gary, but thank you. I'll take that as a compliment.
Absolutely.
Anything to do with Gary Moore is good in my book.
Yeah.
A little short story on the side. I remember when I first joined Michael Schenker, and Michael decided that we should change the name from MSG to McAuley Schenker Group, and I went, that's the worst idea I have ever heard. Right? No, that's true. That's a true story.
Yeah.
Never my idea. And we were in Europe, obviously, because that's where we're living. and I think we were in Amsterdam, in Holland. And the hotel we were staying at, like every other musician, Gary was at the bar.
Oh.
And Neil Carter was with him, and Gary came up to me, and Gary did like to have a drink. He came up to me, he put his arms around my shoulder, and he goes, "You know, I was looking for you for a long time, and he said, you fucked up, and I see you on the front cover of Kerrang! Magazine staying alongside Schenker." And he went, "I guess I missed the boat there."
Oh, wow.
I went, "Are you serious? Me singing for Gary Moore?" And he goes, "I didn't say you'd be singing for me. You'd be singing alongside me."
Oh, that's fabulous.
Right. And there's my Gary Moore, 5 Minutes in the Sun. And, oh, my God, if you compare this opening lick to, I mean, that's Red Beach. That's Red Beach. And I think what I want to say about Red Beach on this record, that he's a phenomenal songwriter. He's a phenomenal guitar player.
Yeah.
But man, he is nasty on this record.
Yes.
He is nasty. He just went, you know what, I'm going to do something that I haven't done on White Snake or Winger. And he just opened the door and let that thing fly. Yeah. And I'm going, oh, dude. I mean, the solo on Big Disaster is...
Yes.
Oh, my God.
Rip your face off.
Oh, I mean, what is there not to like?
Yeah.
He's on fire on this.
Absolutely.
And if you had told me last month, or last year, I should say, that I'd be writing a record at this stage in my life with somebody of the quality of Red Beach, I'd be going, yeah, dude, in my dreams. That's true.
Yeah.
And I am, dude, it sounds so cliched, but I'm blessed.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yep.
And then you have Tosin and Matt Starr. I'm going, you couldn't write a book like that, really? You know?
Chatting with Robin McAuley here for Let's Discuss with Lance Hall. His news project is called Black Swan. The album Shake the World comes out February 14th on Frontiers Records. Robin, I wanted to take you back and just ask you a couple of quick questions from your past. Was the video shoot for Gimme Your Love for McAuley Schenker as much fun as it looked like in that video?
Oh, my God. That's an easy one to answer. You know, we were introduced to Cream Cheese Productions, who was the video company, and they were up in the hills in Hollywood, and we were brought up there, and Marty Kullner was the producer, and he goes, okay, so this is what I have. I have this idea that it shouldn't be any of us old dudes that doing the camera work. At least that's not what you're going to see in the video. We're just going to bring all of these chicks in, and we're just going to shoot them shooting you. And they had just done Dude Looks Like a Lady for Aerosmith.
Right.
And so we were treated to all of the footage from that, and Kolodner coming out in the wedding dress, and we're going, I can't imagine Michael Schenker in a wedding dress. But anyway. So they took us into what would have been Chaplin Studios in Hollywood, set up the stage, and let it rip. And then all of these girls started coming in, and of course we're a bunch of young lads.
Sure.
And we felt like, right, just fresh off the boat, right, from Europe, and we're going, oh, dude, this Hollywood place absolutely rocks.
Great story.
Right? And the rest, you know, it was just an absolute blast.
Absolutely.
It was just great. Yeah, it was everything that you see. I'm just saying.
Yep. Well, I want to take you a little further back. When you were with Grand Prix, you toured with Maiden on the Number of the Beast tour, obviously Bruce's first tour with them. Do you have any recollections of that, you know, him going in there?
Oh, my God, yes, I do. I remember that we Grand Prix were hailed as like the new wave of heavy metal. There's no heavy metal in there, but it was a title that the press loved to run with. We were slotted for the Reading Festival, and I have a couple of really cool memories of that whole thing, because we show up and they put us in this great big Winnebago, and we were like, drove us onto the site, and I'm going, oh, people are just going to hate this shit, you know?
Yeah.
First person I walked into which we had met in the studios before, but he comes right across facing, and I'm going, it's Lemmy. And I'm going, oh, man. Well, you know, I'm just a nobody. And here comes Lemmy. And I always remember going, hey, Lem, how's it going? I'm thinking, what else am I going to say, right?
Right.
And he looks at me, and he goes, so far, so good. I swear to God. And the next time I met Lemmy was at the Rainbow Bar and Grill up on Sunset Strip. And I walked into the back bar. Lemmy's in there, and I'm going, oh, man. I went, Lemmy, how's it going? What did he say to me? So far, so good.
Standard answer.
I swear to God. And Grand Prix was at the Reading Festival. Good story here. So Graham Bonnet had just recorded Assault Attack for MSG.
Mm-hmm.
And he only got about 3 shows deep into the tour, and I won't go into the whole story, but he had a bit of it to do with Michael, and so he walked. Dropped Prowl on stage, mooned at him, shoved off his private parts out to the crowd, mooned at Schenker, flipped him off, and walked. And so they had to end the set instrumentally, and so they were slotted for the Reading Festival also. And so out walked Gary Barton, because they had to get Gary in a hurry, right?
Yeah.
And Maiden were on the bill, Samson were on the bill, and Samson had Bruce Dickinson at the time.
Right. And
Paul Di'Anno was still singing with Maiden, and we, Grand Prix, were rehearsing for, I think it might have been the Nils Lofgren tour.
Okay, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
At the time. And Samson were in the same, John Henry's, I remember it very well, in London. And Bruce came in a day or two afterwards, and he goes, oh, dude. Well, he didn't say dude, because we wouldn't say that in London, would we? Hello, mate, you know? And he said, Harry came to me and asked me if I wanted to join Maiden. And he says, I don't know what to do.
Wow.
I remember we were going, I'll tell you what to do, you dumb shit. And we almost pummeled him to death, you know, beating it into him. Of course you're going to join.
Yeah.
You know, and we knew Bruce. In fact, our bass player, Ralph Hood, used to share a flat, or an apartment, as we would call it at then.
Sure.
Used to share a place with Bruce. Bruce joins Maiden. We were lucky enough to get the opening slot for Peace of Mind, and of course Maiden didn't do very well after that.
Exactly. Oh, wow, great stories. Robin, we're running a little short. I know you got another interview coming right up. I want to end with just some silly questions. I'm hoping these are questions you've never been asked before. Shoot from the hip here. If you could go back in time and eat one of your mom's home-cooked meals from your childhood, what would you have her fix?
Oh, dude, not so much a whole food, but my mom in my neighborhood was famous, and I mean famous for making what you guys call soda bread. We would call it homemade brown bread.
Okay.
And back then, we lived in the country. We were about 45 minutes outside of the city of Dublin. And my mom won the very first gas oven in the neighborhood.
Wow.
Because of her brown soda bread. And that was a staple of our diet growing up, and of course, now everybody loves
yeah, absolutely.
You know, she never gave the recipe to anybody. She should have done, I guess. Yeah. So that's an easy one. That's a really easy one, yeah.
All right. Would you rather go back in time and meet your ancestors, or forward in time and meet your great-great-great-grandchildren?
Holy shiroli. You know, how do I answer that? You know, whatever you do in your past invariably becomes what happens to you in the future. So, provided I didn't do too bad in the past, I'm very curious about space and aliens and all of that sort of stuff. So, if there's something in the future that's a better place than a lot of what's going on, I wouldn't mind giving that a shot. But I'd like to take everybody that I love with me. Absolutely.
Okay.
You know?
Excellent. What was the other one I had here? Given your choice of household chores, dishes or laundry?
Well, since I do both, In fact, I just put a load in before you close. Every time I get a spare minute, because my wife has a crazy job.
Yeah.
And a lot of hours a day. So, I'm going to tell you right here live. I don't mind house chores.
No.
It's how I'm one of 10 kids, right?
Right.
5 brothers, 5 sisters, and I can tell you that if you didn't do your house chores, you'd get the shit kicked out of you.
Exactly.
And with 10 kids in the house, there were plenty of house chores.
Absolutely.
Right?
Washing machine must have been going 24/7.
Well, back in those days, it was like, give me a favor, we didn't have a washing machine.
Right.
You'd have a, what did we call that thing? Like
the bucket and the scrubber. Washboard.
The scrubber, the washboard, right?
Yeah.
And my mom was a great accordion player, so that washboard came in really handy when you needed a rhythm section. No, I'm dead serious, yeah. So no, I don't care either.
Okay. Last one. This will kind of bring us back to music. What makes a great frontman for a band?
Oh God, Robert Plant. Oh, dude, I don't know. I just what makes a great frontman?
I mean, you fronted a number of great bands. If you had a youngster come up to you and say, Mr. McAuley, I want to front a band. What advice can you give me about fronting a band?
Well, I'm going to answer it this way. I never wanted to be a singer. I wanted to be a great drummer. I spent about 12 years pretending that I was a drummer, and when I was asked to sing, I went, I'm not a singer. I'm still not a singer. I just happened to be lucky to somebody shoved the microphone in my face. I don't know what makes a good frontman. I suppose, I suppose it's good to be able to sing, maybe.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, that might be a good place to start.
Yeah.
Some people are better with audiences. I'm really not good at talking. I don't like to say too much, so I don't.
Right.
I'm not. I don't want to be a comedian, so I don't pretend to be one. So I like to get out there, know what I'm supposed to do it, and I like to have a good communication with the people. I mean, there's so many singers in my genre who think that they have to get out there and be really tough and this is going to be really hard. And I'm going, really, dude?
Yeah.
And it's a little over the top, and it's like, if it's not like this, that you have to look serious. No, you don't.
Right.
It's I don't know. I'm one of those people. I like to get out there, do it, and smile when I'm doing it.
Yeah, let everybody
like,
know.
Don't take yourself too serious.
Right.
You don't have to be the clothes that you're wearing.
There you go. Sound advice.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. Once again, the project is Black Swan. The album is Shake the World. Comes out on Frontiers Records next Friday, February 14th. Been chatting with Robin McAuley, lead vocalist for that group, here with Let's Discuss with Lance Hall. Robin, I appreciate very, very much the time. Apologize to your next interview about going over, okay?
You rock, my friend, and have a great Friday, and thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.